I cried at the airport. Not the cinematic kind of crying, just the tired, human version, swollen throat, damp cheeks, that peculiar embarrassment of grieving in public while people drag suitcases past you. 2 years, he kept saying, like repetition could shrink it. Toronto. Opportunity. All the correct words arranged in the correct order. He held me tightly, and I remember thinking how strange it was that comfort and unease could occupy the same space in my chest. When he finally walked towards security, he didn't look back. That wasn't unusual. He was never sentimental about departures. Still, something about the finality of his stride lingered with me longer than the goodbye itself. The house felt unfamiliar when I returned, like a staged version of my own life. His coffee mug still near the sink, his jacket draped over the chair. The quiet was dense, almost material. I didn't sit down. Instead, I opened my laptop. People imagine decisions like mine are born from sudden rage or revelation. Mine arrived with the emotional intensity of reading a utility bill. Calm, focused, unnervingly clear. Doubt had been living with me for years, though I rarely named it. It survived in small moments, explanations that required too many words, transfers between accounts I didn't fully understand, that gentle, practiced reassurance. Don't worry about it, I've got it handled. I had accepted that sentence more times than I could count, but silence has a way of rearranging memory. Without his presence smoothing the edges, details began aligning differently. Not accusations, patterns. I logged into our joint accounts. The numbers were not shocking. That would have been easier. No dramatic withdrawals, no obvious catastrophes. Just a steady, meticulous drift, funds moving into structures I had never questioned because questioning would have required conflict, and conflict had always felt disproportionate. Marriage teaches you strange calibrations of what is worth. Tension. I followed transaction trails like someone tracing cracks in a wall they had long pretended not to see. Old discomforts hardened into comprehension. It wasn't betrayal in the theatrical sense. It was erosion. The transfer took less than 5 minutes. $650,000, the sum of cautious living, postponed vacations, deferred comforts, decades of behaving responsibly. Money that existed, technically, in both our names but practically under his management. My hand did not shake. What surprised me most was not fear or guilt, but relief. Not triumph, relief. The quiet settling of something that had been unstable for too long. Filing for divorce felt administrative. A sequence of forms, digital signatures, confirmations. Language stripped of emotion, dissolution, assets, separation. By evening, authority made its entrance. The bank called first. Mrs. Keller, we're reviewing a large transfer from your joint account. The voice was polite, neutral, trained to detect irregularity without implying wrongdoing. I answered questions in the same tone.
Yes. Yes, that was me.
Yes, I understand. There was a pause, almost imperceptible, where procedure met human curiosity. Everything appears in order. Later, my lawyer spoke with the steady cadence of someone accustomed to emotional turbulence. You acted within your legal rights. Rights. Such a sterile word for something that felt anything but sterile. The external world began reorganizing itself quickly after that. Notifications, confirmations. A formal letter from his legal counsel arriving with astonishing efficiency, as though my decision had triggered machinery waiting just beneath the surface. His call came the next morning. There was confusion first, genuine, I think, then anger, sharp and disoriented. What the hell is going on? I listened, not passively, not submissively. Simply listened, the way one might observe whether they no longer believe they can influence. I moved the money, I said. A long silence. You what? I filed for divorce. The shift was subtle but unmistakable. The man who had left with purpose was now reacting to events already completed. Control, once assumed, had become negotiable. This is insane. Maybe. But insanity rarely feels this structured. In the days that followed, conversations acquired a peculiar texture, restrained, careful, oddly professional. No screaming matches, No dramatic confrontations. Just two people navigating the disassembly of a shared life through measured sentences and delayed responses. Friends called, their voices heavy with the need for explanation. What happened? I struggled with that question. Not because I lacked reasons, but because reasons rarely satisfy those searching for a single, clean narrative. There was no affair I could point to, no explosive confession, no villain dramatic enough to make my choice comfortably understandable. There was only accumulation, discomfort layered over years until it hardened into inevitability. Even now, I'm not certain whether I was responding to what was or what I believed would eventually happen. That ambiguity sits with me, uninvited but persistent. People assume survival feels victorious. Mostly, it feels quiet. The house is still silent, but the silence has changed. Less oppressive, more spacious. Grief remains, braided tightly with something steadier, stability, perhaps, or simply the absence of chronic uncertainty. There was no celebration, just breathing.